Good morning. I'm sitting out here on the side of the mountain. It's about 7:30 in the morning, and I'm just like contemplating. I was thinking there were a few thoughts that I was thinking. I was thinking about how when we look at the world through very narrow, like looking glasses. We look at the world and through perception that is very ego based. Everything is relevant to me. So and it's naturally so, right? Because that's this life experience. We're always looking out of our own eyes, and we're always taking everything in consideration to ourselves, where we are at. We see it according to our perception, our own belief system, our own way of looking at things, and what it means in my life, or where I am in relevance to whatever it is that I'm meeting. Um, it could be just the simple things like where I'm standing in Lola, where I'm standing in relevance to how vast this is. So that mountain is over there. But that is only in relevance to me, because that mountain, if I was sitting on top of that mountain, this mountain would be over there. So I know it's a really simplistic way of looking at things, but when you look at the bigger picture, and how did I get to these thoughts? I'll tell you how I got to these thoughts. I was thinking about how, um, okay, so I'll start from the beginning of the thoughts. This morning I woke up with kind of like, um, I woke up with really good intentions, and my son is going to work. He's 16 and has a summer job. And I got up, and yesterday I made cookies, and I had some batter left over. So I started baking him cookies so he could take to work with him, and making him food. And he got up all pissy about yesterday. Yesterday um, um, I went with my twin and his son. We went diving with the metal detectors, and I got back a little bit late. And so my son got up, and he was, I don't know, he was lashing out. And it felt like it was very distant from what I was doing. Like I got up in the morning, I made him food to take with him and cookies, and like I was thinking, um, I was thinking like warm thoughts towards him. And then when he ended up leaving, like I ended up getting really mad at him, and just kind of like, you're unappreciative, and it doesn't matter what I do, you're unappreciative. And I even told him like that he is jealous, that he is a little bit. And maybe I know that that's not very good parenting. Um, but I shouldn't have said that. And I know that I shouldn't have said that. And I knew that I shouldn't have said it when I said it. Sometimes you get into like your ego, and you say things that you shouldn't say. And I should know that if he is feeling that way, it's because he's feeling inadequate with me. These are thoughts that I'm having now, right? These are not, this is, so, so I kind of went on this walk. When I went on this walk, I was kind of upset, and I thought, okay, I'm not recording any of this. I'm not going to be talking about this. I was just sitting out here and just kind of looking off to the view. The view is beautiful. I'm going to turn around and show you where I'm looking. That's where I'm sitting. That village over there on the mountain, that is an Arab village. It's a mixed village. It's called Mra. There are Christian Arabs, Muslim Arabs, and Bedouins, Druzis that live there. Down in this valley, there's Bedouins that live. Oh, down in that valley where that homestead is down there, and those olives, those are Bedouins. There's so many different different. It's very diverse here. There's different, because the land was so many times taken over and conquered, and so many different nationalities live in this land. I guess in the States there's many different nationalities that live there too, but here it's ancient, like the descendants, generation after generation after generation of people that belong here, that have, well, people belong to the land. I'm going to get off that subject. So I was just coming out to just sit here and contemplate. And then I started thinking about how this plane, I was looking at everything that is around, the birds flying and everything that's here, and this human experience, and this experience on this 3D land. And I was thinking how this is the one point where everything comes together and everything gets bitui, everything gets expression only in this 3D, right? This is the lowest vibrational point. This is the point where everything comes together. So everything makes up this land with this plane, um, which is energy, matter, um, space, and time, and all of it come together and make one pinpoint into this reality, and we're part of it. So this is really, it's like living in the needle of the in the eye of the needle, because all of the other realms are so vast and infinity. This is the realm where everything comes into play, and it's not infinity because everything is dependent on everything. Well, it is infinity. It depends on how you look at it, right? It's a paradox. But let's say this life will end. This body will end and go back, and it'll never end, right? It'll go back into the earth and come back out something else. But you understand what I'm saying. This is like the point, um, one point in time and energy, in matter, in place. It's where everything comes to a pinpoint. It's where everything comes into the eye of the needle. So living this experience and being able to be in this plane with consciousness, right, as this form, is like one chance in almost infinite, like infinite possibilities that it wouldn't be, and one chance out of all of that to have this life experience. And that in itself tells me that just make the most of it. Just enjoy every moment. Even like right now, I'm getting like major perspective on what happened with my son this morning. All I'm feeling is like this total gratitude and love for him because of what I'm talking about now. It's so funny when we get stuck in our ego, we get stuck in this small minded, tiny little place of where everything is me, 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 me. Like I was just, I didn't know the conversation was going to go this way because I still haven't gotten to the point that I was going to make. I'm still building up for it, but it's expanding for me as I talk about it. I feel like overwhelmed with this gratitude for this life experience, and gratitude that even I have conversations and can communicate, that I have my son, and and feeling like this overwhelming love towards him. Like if he's feeling jealousy, then that means that he's feeling inadequate. That means that he's feeling like he doesn't have a place, or that somebody else is going to take his place with me. He's not feeling in full um, um, in some way he's feeling like somebody else could take his place with me, and that is something that instead of being mad about and pushing against, that I should realize and work with. And that was kind of what I was doing this morning when I got up. Okay, now I'm making excuses, but it's the truth. When I got up and I was like making him cookies and stuff to take to work, it was kind of in a place of, just showing him love and appreciation, and consideration and, the unconditional love. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm still getting this whole life figured out. I mean, if we had it all figured out, what would it be worth anyway? There would be nothing. So I have all these different things that I'm working on: my relationship with my son, my relationship with my twin, my relationship with my parents, the same time, because my mother is also having issues. She's having mega issues because of my faith growing, and she grew up in a very, very, very prominent, I don't know, Christian, devout family, and she pushed against it from when she was really young and kind of got out of it. And now she sees my belief and my faith, and all of a sudden the things that I'm exploring, and she's connecting it to my twin. So she's having all sorts of her own issues. Um, Also, she sees how much I'm devoted to him, and that I'm growing in like faith to, I'm talking about Messiah, talking about religion, talking about things that are waking up all of her ancient demons that she has in her, and she is connecting it all to my twin, and she sees that I'm devoted to him even though we're not in a physical or romantic relationship, and she thinks that it's stealing away my time and my energy, and that I don't know how she's saying it. She's saying it maybe that he is taking advantage, or but she doesn't see it. anybody uh, Anybody that's not in this twin flame journey doesn't understand it, and I'm thinking to myself that, with if she could see, and she can see, how this relationship with him is making me grow. Her being upset about her lashing out. The sun is starting to get to my head, so I'm going to go down further on these boulders. You know, her being anyway against it is her own issues with herself. It's putting herself first. It's putting herself ahead of me and my wants. She thinks that she knows better for me than I know for me. And the truth is, she can't even see exactly everything that I'm going through in this relationship and how much this relationship is building me. She can see if she would open her eyes, and I've been telling her too. She can, since I've been with him, I've grown so much, and I've taken so much responsibility in so many different ways. And my life, seems to be working out. Um, I'm working through myself so much better. So with my twin, I feel like it's unconditional love. Like, he sees me for where I'm at. He sees me what exactly for what it is, and he's still there for me, and he is helping me sort. It's like tough love, helping me sort through my weaknesses and empowering me completely. Whereas with my mother, I can see that she is not willing to stand up in the places that she, work through. She's not willing to face her own demons. And kind of with what I'm going through, it's kind of forcing her to go backwards. It's kind of reminding her of her childhood, and she's not willing to go into those places or accept them in me. And so what she's doing is exactly what her family did to her when she married my father. So it's so funny how things just turn, and I'm so blessed to be able to see it and not get all caught up in it, really. Because when she married my father, he took her away from the devout Christiany, or they converted to Judaism, and my mother's family, or part of my mother's family, I should say, or specific members of my mother's family, I should say, because I have a wonderful family all around, from all the sides, really, even the ones that weren't accepting, because it's just like my mother. It's waking up her own demons. It's for her own reasons, that if she was looking for at me for with unconditional love that didn't have anything to do with her, she would be happy for me that I'm able to really explore myself and explore all these different, I didn't grow up with that on me, that heavy force down your throat religion stuff. Well, I did a little bit, but in different ways. but she would be happy for me that I'm happy and that I'm exploring my own things. And even in the places that I have sorrow, because when you're going on this, when you're on this twin flame journey, it can be a real doozy at times, but it has to be in order for you to overcome your own demons. You have to sort through your demons to overcome them, right? You have to actually go through the emotions. I'm becoming like the master of going through my emotions. Look how quickly I turned this whole morning around. I'm going to call my son when I'm done doing this video. I'm going to call him, and I don't know, with him, I'm gonna think on it. I'm not gonna say anything for definite. When he left, he came and gave me a hug, and actually apologized. And then I started trying to talk to him about it, because apology is just thrown out in the air without settling the matters, or are just, I guess apology is a way of wanting to, leave the air. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. My ex-husband never apologized for anything. And a lot of the he never apologized for anything. So my son, and him being able to come and to apologize at, from his own, really his own, um, and he's 16. So I think that we're in a good place. I'm looking for the good. So what I was saying about is that we're so privileged. I'm going to go back to my original point, and I'll let you see Lola, because she's just so cute. She has that kind of off lopsided haircut, because I cut her hair. It's on one side of her face over here. You'll see she has like longer hair. It comes down over her eye. She's just so cute. She's 10. She was my daughter's. My daughter got her as a little tiny puppy. And then when my daughter went away, she went away to boarding school for a couple of years. And then she went to the army. And then when she came back from the army, Lola just she would just stay with me all the time, because she was already used to being with me all the time. So so then my daughter officially gave her to me a few years ago, after she got out of the army and she left the home. She said, okay, I'm officially giving you Lola. That gave her also the freedom to go get her own loyal dog that was hers. And Lola, anyway, just wants to be with me all the time. She won't even go to walks with anybody else. She'll like try to stay at home, or if I try to make her go out with somebody, if I can't take her for a walk, she'll just wait next to the door. Like, she won't go for the walk. But I was thinking about how everything, we consider everything without even knowing it, relevant to ourselves, and on this plane. And that's the way that we're programmed. That's that this human experience. That's that master ego that we have. And the ego is, and I'm saying master ego because the ego is like, we should be in love with our ego. Our ego is like our master tool. It's like the reason we don't like our egos, or with the ego is considered to be like a negative thing, is because there's most people, and I'm gonna say it, most people, their egos take over their being. They don't master their egos. They don't realize what their egos are. They have no training. It's like we get born and we have no training over this being. We go get trained on how to work through the matrix, or to stuff knowledge down or that is irrelevant. Most of the knowledge that we learn in school is completely irrelevant for our lives. What we learn is to learn. We learn how to learn, but we learn how to learn in our brain. We don't learn how to learn emotionally. We don't learn how to learn um, energetically. It's like most of our being doesn't get any kind of training, and we're tossed out into life like, okay, go make yourself, when we get tossed out of school, it's like we're tossed out into the big world, and we have no idea what to do, where to go. We start latching on to other people because maybe they have a better idea, rushing into marriage like I did, So that you can become dependent on somebody else or codependent, where you're each dependent on the other because you think the other has it worked out better than you do. But you're both like tiny infants thrown out into the world with absolutely no idea on what to do. What do I do now? What, just go get a job? That's what I'm going to do for the rest of, okay, go get a job. Now go get a house. Okay, now you have to stay married. You don't want to get divorced. Because if you stay married and you keep a smile on your face and everybody think you have it worked out, nobody has it worked out. So it's like we're thrown out into our lives without any kind of knowledge of even who we are, what we are, no emotional maturity. And you see people that are going to their graves like this, never having it figured out. I think at the end of your life, figuring out that never having it figured out is figured it out. Or and so we're in this, we're tossed into our lives and learning irrelevant things in school and being taught that that's what we need to know and that we're supposed to be a certain way according to whatever society it is that we live in, because every society has a different consensus of what you're supposed to look like. That's one of the things about moving around a lot when I was a kid that I realized, is that there is no specific way to be, because everywhere that you're at, there's different expectations of you. So then you realize, wait a minute, or every religion thinks that they're the only right religion. Wait a minute. So I'm right and all those other people are wrong, but they think that they're right. So so who's right? Who's more important? Oh, I'm more important because this is my right. That's the right way of thinking. So it's kind of like, but I'm starting to get like, when you get out of the consensus and off into your own life and figuring things out on your own, and so this plane is the 3D plane, is the point where everything comes together. It's the point where everything comes and combines into one, and everything here in this plane is what's getting expression. And now when you look at it, there's so many things here in this plane. We only have five senses. Five senses. We experience this whole human experience and this whole surroundings through five senses. Our sight, smell, taste, touch, and sound, right? And then we have intuition and all the obscure, you know, uh, telepathy and all of the obscure senses. But really, when we're looking out, and we have, like, in our eyesight, we have this tiny little range of what we can see, right? We can't see the ultraviolets, or we can't see what's on the outsides of this tiny little range that we can see. When I was a kid growing up, when I was really small, I could see the aura around people. I could see, like, the halo. I could see people's, and I could see them colorful. I remember I used to tell my father that I could see, because he had a really thick, big one, so I could see it really exceptional on him. I could truly see it, and it's like having a different. And I'm training myself back to see it, and it's really easy to see on trees, and, like, especially if there's a forest, that you can see the whole forest glowing almost. Um, but it's something that it's like a muscle that you don't use. You don't use it and you lose it, right? It's just like yoga. You don't do yoga and then you start slowly becoming decrepit. You don't use your muscles, you lose them. You don't use your mind, you lose it. You don't use your ability to think. If you start getting set in your ways, set in your ways, set in your ways, after a while, you can't get out of those set ways because all of the other neuron paths are, like, closed off to you. And then once you start opening them back up and you start becoming curious, I know this in my life, like when I was married, there was a period of like 8 years where all of my artwork just went, I didn't do any artwork. And I used to, like, always paint and draw and sculpt and do all sorts of artwork. And for 8 years, it's like I barely touched it. And after I came back and I started, and I divorced, I changed my whole life. I just did like a complete shift in my life. I went through rehab for alcohol, and I lost a whole bunch of weight, and I divorced my husband. I moved back to Israel from the States, and started a new business. And I did a complete shift in my life, and I wanted to bring my art back into my life. And when I started sitting down to draw, it's like it's almost like I lost it, and it took me for I'm still getting back into it. I'm still training myself. It's because I can't find time, because now I'm, a single parent, and I have to like find support on my own. So it's like I don't have time to get back into it, but I would love to be able to just sit and do art all day long. Different kinds of arts, right? Different forms of arts: painting, drawing, sculpting. And, if I were just to say, and that's where I feel like I'm shifting into, and metal detecting is an art, but I just want to be outside all the time. I want a house where I can just be outside all the time and grow plants and grow my own food and go on hikes and have like a really good partnership with somebody that I can share it with. I'm going for the feeling, right? I'm not determining. I know I'm on this twin flame journey, and but I'm in the process of letting go and just going for the emotion of what I want to feel. And by that, I know that I'm going to be vibing it into my world. I'm kind of imagining it with all the colors and glory, and like a little hobbit house almost is what I would really like a small hobbit house that every corner is like, that's where I'm headed. So what I was saying about this 3D, I want to make my point. So what I was thinking about is about the smoking marijuana. I was thinking about how we consider everything according to ourselves. So when I think about smoking marijuana, I'm thinking about, oh, it's my addiction, my addiction, my addiction. But there's also another way of looking at it. Because of this world is like everything wants to get expression and attention in this 3D world. If you think about marijuana, and you think about, I'm thinking about, I was just listening to those videos about genies, those channeled videos that I did, that I'm going to upload a little bit later on today, about genies. And the genies are like entities that come into us where we are not standing up, and we call them addictions. But just like alcohol, when it's sitting in the bottle on the shelf, it has no expression in the 3D world except for its physical expression. But if it wants to, just like our body, if somebody looks at us from the outside, they can't see all of the internal workings and our personalities and everything that's cool about us, right? They can just see the outside. Maybe you can sense something, but you can't really. Well, it's just when we start expressing ourselves that we get expression in this world, right? That's why we're the happiest when we're expressing ourselves, when we're bringing our own gifts into the world, right? Um, which is what I'm doing with these videos too. So it really gives me an outlet for all of the blood that is trying to express through me all the time. And so when I was thinking about like addictions, like marijuana, because I was thinking I'm so proud of myself. Like I don't even feel like a draw to it. I don't even feel like a pull to it. Every once in a while, I think, oh, it would be nice to, but when I really think about it, it's not worth the prices that I pay. And also, I'm so happy with myself that I feel like I'm in control. Like I took control back into my own life. It's me, and that I don't need it. I always thought, like with the marijuana, that, oh, it helps me be spiritual. It opens up all these realms to me. Well, I really do think that it does, but I'm not any less spiritual without it. It's just, if anything, I'm more pinpointed. I'm more able to take my spirituality and bring it into something that is doable in this realm, because the marijuana takes you into the higher realms, but it takes you out of this physical realm. So then any of these higher ideas that you have, you don't come into play. You don't bring into the physical world. Whereas I feel like ever since I quit smoking marijuana, And I noticed this as a pattern. Every time I quit smoking marijuana, my life starts moving. I start getting progress. Da, 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 things start moving. Um, and it's wonderful. And so I was thinking about, and it comes in from places that you wouldn't even expect it. You can't even know the direction that you're afraid to quit marijuana. What am I gonna do? And oh no, it's like my friend, but you don't even know. You can't know from there what your life is going to look like on this end of it. And when you quit and you just start moving in your life, things open up from movement. You start moving and you start getting momentum in your movement. You can't know from there what's going to open up here, because every movement opens up, it puts you in a different place, and every time you're in a different place, new opportunities and new potentials open up for you. So, and new ideas, the way that your mind is working 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when I was smoking is not the same way that my mind is working now. So from there, you can't see where you're going to be here. It's just getting over that little hump of quitting to smoke. But what I was thinking is, if we when going back to my point, that we see everything as relevant to ourselves, and that is how we go. It's a very egotistical way of going through life, which is natural. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, our ego is our master tool that we have to that master, and once we master it, it becomes like the ultimate Superman of all tools. But when we don't master it, it's like out of control, and it controls us, and we think that we are our ego. I mean, there's so many people that are totally in their ego. They don't even know that they don't even know they have an ego, because they're so far into their ego. It's like a fish swimming in water doesn't know what water is, because they've never been outside of the water to know that it just is. It's the same thing. And so with the marijuana, if you look at it from its own perspective, right, as an entity, it's just like the alcohol sitting in the bottle on the shelf. It doesn't get it any expression. The way that it gets expression is through you drinking it, and then the way that you act, it's getting expression in the world, right? It's like a dependent alcohol. These some of these entities are dependent on a host, right? They can't get expression in themselves. Their personality, because they don't have a being, their personality, like the personality, let's say alcohol has a personality, let's look at it that way. Alcohol has a personality, and the only way that it can get expression of its personality is through the consumption of it, right? So then it gets its expression through me, and then it like latches onto you. It's like a little demon. It gets in there and it latches on, and it makes you want it more, because it works with you. And marijuana is the same way. The only way, if you look at marijuana as an entity, right, if you look at it as its own being, then okay, so it's getting expression in the physical world and by form of a plant. But its personality, the only way that its personality can come into play in this physical realm is through a host, right? Because it doesn't have legs and mouth, and it can't express itself. So the only way that it can express itself is if it manages to get into a host. And then you can look at it as its own entity, but it's like you could look at it as an entity that doesn't have a physical, well, it has a physical form, but doesn't have way of expression other than through a host. You get what I'm saying? It's like maybe you could look at it as we are a full entity. Well, as full as we are, right? But that we have a physical being, and we have an expression and intake. But plants don't have a way of expressing their personalities, right? They can only express the way that they look in physical form. And then their personality is okay. I think I beat this point. I don't know that I'm going to be able to find better words, so I'm just keep on going around in circles. But I think that I made my point pretty well. So the whole point that I was making is that let's sum this all up. is that this physical world is the eye of the needle. It's the point where everything comes into one. All of the different matter, all of the different forms and energy and like mass, energy, space, time, all come into one to make this magnificent form, or plane or level of existence where we get to come in one out of infinite. This is such a blessing. We've been graced. Like, I feel like it's overwhelming. Just every moment of this life is precious. It really is. We were so blessed. We are a miracle. We are a miracle. Our existence is a miracle. And when we look at life that way, everything else becomes small. Oh, money, this, that, it all becomes small. We are miracles in ourselves, just our being. We are magnificent miracles. And we are running through life, running after false gods of money, of stuff, trying to get stuff, and missing the point of this beautiful experience. That's all it is. When we go to the grave, we're going with nothing. I mean, we could have some clothes on us, but what does it mean? All this is an experience. And we are, as humanity, as a rate, we are wasting away. We have infinite potential to make our lives magnificent in every moment. And if we don't know this in every moment, then we're not living to our full potential and to our full capabilities. You should go out there, forget shame, and everybody's all embarrassed to show themselves. What is that? Being embarrassed of God? Because God created us how we are, right? We are one creature. It's like spitting from the well that you drink from. Like, why should we be embarrassed? We have this one, 100 years from now, is anybody going to remember that I got on the bus and I acted like a fool? Nobody's going to care. 5 minutes afterwards, nobody cares. So this life, all it is making the most out of it. Being ashamed in front of other people is useless and silly and and uh, confining. It's making our life experience very small because what are the neighbors going to think? What is that person going to think? What if I fail? Then I'm going to be a failure and everybody's going to look at me this way or that way or whatever. Yeah, there is no shame. The only thing that there is to be shameful about is if you are hurting other people's experiences. I mean, if you're doing your own thing and it's not hurting anybody else, even if they're perceiving it, if you're doing your own thing and somebody else has a problem with you doing your own thing, that's their problem. That's their problem from how they are looking through life through a little tiny narrow hole. So as long as I'm not going in physically and messing with somebody else's experience, and I'm doing my own thing and for as much as I can, not hurting anybody. If somebody's getting hurt by my actions, then that's their hurt. It's not, and if I am not doing anything, um, you get what I'm not going to make this point anymore. You get what I'm saying. So every moment in this life is absolutely precious. Every moment in this life is a miracle, and we should make the most of it and go out and become the most that we can become. And get I want to what I want to say is get out of the matrix, but think for yourself. Think for yourself. Be self thinkers, self experiencers. Yeah. What I was saying about you know us. So I was thinking about the perspective about the marijuana. We are looking at marijuana from a narrow point view that it's my addiction, my addiction, my addiction, right? It's mine. It's all has to do with me. But if you look at it through like the plant's view, the marijuana plant, if you're looking at it as an entity that wants to get expression, then you can see it as something that is separate from you. You can see, okay, this entity wants to get into me, like trickery. It has trickery in your mind. It like tries to latch on and makes you think that you want it. It makes you think that you need it, so that it can get expression. Now, it may not do that consciously, but it's programmed to do that. And in our bodies, that's what it does, because that is its only way of getting expression in this physical world. If you can, it's, I know it's kind of a concept that's out there. It's like, it's like, but if you can look at it that way and you can see it that way, because there's entities all around us. The plant entity, that the entity of marijuana, at least it's like locked into a plant. But there are entities, there are jinns all around us in this plane and in us that we are their hosts that have come into us, and they have personalities too. And when you can, and we only have these five senses, so we can't see them, but they're around us all the time, and there are people that do see them. um, I know people that see them, and I've seen them in the past. When you're in a real state of a complete state, it's just like I see the halos or the auras around people, and it's the same thing. You can see them; they're around us, and they have personalities. At least with the marijuana, you can see that it's stuck into a plant. It grows. You could actually see it being born. And if nobody takes that plant and takes, by smoking it or by burning the plant, then you release the entity that is within it, right? And if you take that smoke into you, then you are releasing it into yourself. And you are come on, Lola, go. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. You can do it. Okay, you figure it out. I'm going to just move and let me go. She can figure out her own way of getting up. I think she was a little bit nervous about jumping up on that rock but she'll find her way. I trust. I trust. See, she's already behind me. So that is my big slur for today. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And if you enjoy this, subscribe. This is my expression. So I appreciate it. Thank you.